Hello and welcome to today's part 2 on how to Excel. So today I'm going to cover data validation, VS lookups, and SumIF functions. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to add a new sheet in first of all. So here, see this little plus icon? I'm going to click on it. I'm going to have a new sheet created. I'm going to change the sheet's name just to data, just because it's all it's going to retain. It's just got data in there. I'm going to pull client info, like so. I'm going to grab grape variety, and I'm going to grab the prices, like so. So I'm just going to separate these out. Because I actually don't want grape variety. I'm referencing differently to how I'm going to reference the names. Come on, cursor. There we go. So the idea is going to be we're going to reference clients and grape variety differently. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to put in a thing called a data validation, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm going to put a list in. So I'm going to go data validation, and then from this window, I'm going to tell list, and I'm actually going to click on this little arrow here. Go to my data set, and I'm just going to click and drag, and I'm going to drag about 25 down. I'm going to hit the enter key, and you can see it tells it to ignore blank, so all of these will be ignored until they've got data in them, and it will appear in a cell drop down. And as you can see, look at that. So now I can click and drag downwards and just re-update all our clientele here with new data validation, which means then when I click and drag downwards, when I enter new data, I can just reference my data validation here rather than retyping in their name every time. And I can drag and drop that as far as I want, and it gives me all my data validation. Makes my life really easy. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is I want to basically link the price per ton per grape moved into my data here. So then this way I can dictate what I charge per grape to my client. Because I do want to kind of come at a unified front to say we charge this rate for these grapes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go equals VS, I'll do it every time, VLOOKUP. I'm going to reference our grape variety. I'm going to hit the comma key, and it's going to ask me for a table array. The table array is actually going to come across into this sheet here, and I'm going to reference this table, and I'm going to go about 25 down, like so. I'm going to hit comma. The next part it's going to tell me is the column index number. That means this is column 1 and this is column 2. So it's going to use the lookup value in the table array, so it will reference the column 1 to look at the values in there. So if it finds this particular grape variety as my index or my lookup value, it will check the array in this side and then pull this column value up is the idea. So I'm going to say column 2 because this is 1 and this is 2. Then I'm going to tell it false because I want an exact match on my result. If I say true, it will find me the closest result. The last little thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the F4 key on these two here to set them in stone so I can click and drag around. So if I do this, you'll see it updated all the values for me. Now bear in mind this is a dynamic thing, and it will change values. So what you could do is, and we'll do it, is I'm going to introduce a new column. Adjustment, price correction. What's a good word to use? Adjustment. I reckon adjustment is the best word to use there. if I don't butcher the spelling. Not the best speller on the planet. So what we're going to do is create a new column called adjustment. And then what we'll do, very simply, is just do that. And what this means is you've got your base price of the grapes, but let's say you want to give, because this guy here is giving us 60 tons, let's do a price adjustment of negative $3. So he's going to get $3 off his charge. So that will make an adjustment of the total calculation. Or let's say we want to charge him more because they've got lots of money. So let's add an adjustment of $3. So you can see there, you can actually very quickly modify the price. So I'm going to go an adjustment of -1 because these guys have been good to us. I'm going to go an adjustment of $2.30. Oop. And 0. And the other thing I'll do is you can see I'm not seeing the full values there. So what I want to do is change the formatting of cell, and I want to show 2 decimal places. Then that way we can actually see what's going on in price, which is important. Okay, so now that we've done that, you can kind of see I'm using this data to dictate this referencing, and then I'm using drop downs or data validation to make our lives easier. The last thing we want to do is, let's say some of our clients, for whatever reason, want to know how much tons they've moved, or you want to know how much profit you've made on these companies. So what I would do is I would take a copy of our client list, and you can see I've just shifted them down. I've not done anything super fancy. And then what I'll do is let's pull the tonnage and let's pull the profit on each of these. Now you'd say, okay, what do you mean? So what we'll do is, let me just go like this, and I'm just going to copy this, and let's just say we done a fair few jobs for these companies. So I'm just doing what we call data generation right now, and all these dates are the same, all the prices are the same. So let's just go here and let's just make some slight changes. So we'll just go like that, we'll say that, and I'm just putting in some basic numbers in here. This is all just random, just so you guys can see what I'm getting at when I do this kind of stuff. Okay, so now if I said, okay, I want to know how much any of these companies up here have made, you'd say, okay, and you'll go through and you'll add each of the individual entries. So that's actually really a hard way to do it. We're going to use a function in Excel called SumIF. And SumIF is a lot like Vlookup, except it's looking at it a different way. So what I'm going to do is set my criteria. Oops, sorry. I always get this one back to front as well. So I'm going to set my range. So what the range means is the names of the companies I want to reference. And I'm actually going to go down to 100. My reference material, which is the name of the company, and my sum range, which will be, for this set, is the profit. And again, I'm going to reference down to 100. Now, the other important thing to do with this is make sure to always go F4 on these values, because as we click and drag down, these will update, which we don't want. So we can go like that, and just like that, I can now know just how much money each of these companies have made me. So let's go like that, and then the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to add currency to the value, and that's it. So if we do the same thing for our second bit of data here, so I'll do it again. So SumIF, I'm going to do another reference to here. I'm going to drop it down to 100, comma. We're going to grab the tons we've moved for these companies, and again, drop it down to 100. Whoop. As you can see, I stuffed it up. We need the reference, which is in here. And make sure we hit F4, 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 and F4. And that gives us our tons. And just like that, we've now got all the information on all that's going on our data for this month. So I hope you found that useful. Next week's tutorial will be on how to use this information and create it into a billing structure so you can bill your clients to make your life a bit easier. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have a nice day.